All right, you guys, it looks like Battlefield just released the patch notes for January 20th. So major updates for version 1135. So I have not read these yet. I just got home from work. Well, I'm not home from work. I just got a lunch break. So I just stopped in really quick to make this video for you guys. A little bit different from my normal content, but I wanted to push it out for you guys in case you haven't seen it yet. So ignore my work outfit. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to be seeing some fixes in these patch notes for vehicles, tanks, jets, helicopters. We all know that the airfare in this game needs a big do-over right now. And I really hope to see some fixes for the netcode, some balancing fixes, some fixes for visibility. I'd really like to see some adjustments to movement and a more aggressive skill gap reasoning way. So let's dig into it. Let's see what we can find in these patch notes, and hopefully we find some good stuff in here. So let's go ahead. Let's jump into it. All right, guys. So Battlefield Bulletin posted this about 2 hours ago. So Battlefield 6 game update 1135 goes live January 20th, 9 a.m. UTC. Major updates for 1135. Improved responsiveness, consistency, and sprint behavior for melee attacks. Wait, sprint behavior for melee attacks? I wonder what that means. Including knives and the sledgehammer. Updated jet combat balance by reducing jet cannon effectiveness against other air vehicles. So they're actually going to be nerfing the time to kill in the jets. That is something that, as a helicopter pilot, I am extremely excited about that. This is going to be huge for helicopter pilots. Jets are extremely effective at killing the helicopter, especially really, really good jets. So for them to reduce the effectiveness of the cannon against other air vehicles, I wonder what that is actually going to look like in game. I don't think it's really going to change too much for dogfights. The time to kill in this game is really, really fast. It's going to make it to where on those initial turns, you're not going to get one bursted by the enemy aircraft, but if they have advantage on you, you're probably going to die regardless. But it might give some situations where the really good pilots are going to be able to get out of sticky situations. Updated and refined the UI and HUD across multiplayer and RedSec, improving armor bar visibility, reticle presentation, and menu navigation. Menu navigation, that's a big one. I've always had a complaint about the menu. I'd be curious to see what route they end up going with that. Vehicles, all right, only two things. That's kind of concerning. Fixed an issue where vehicles could explode when a takedown was performed on an enemy soldier lying on top of them. When I first started reading that, I thought that was going to be a fix to where sometimes the friendly helicopter would explode on takeoff. And I'm sure anybody has witnessed that when you had a bunch of people climbing on top of it, but it sounds like this is a different issue that they've been having. Reduced jet cannon damage against other jets and helicopters, requiring approximately 40% more hits to destroy enemy air targets. That's a pretty chunky percentage. I'll be curious to see how that comes into play and how that affects the jets in this game. I really want to see that in practice and see how that feels, because that sounds like it's going to be a pretty chunky difference. Maybe it won't be. Maybe 6, 7, 8 more, 10 more shots, maybe somewhere in that range, but that's still a good chunk of time. Weapons, bipod attachments no longer display, as always providing a hipfire accuracy bonus, as this bonus only applies while the bipod is deployed. Fixed an issue where the Grim 1.5x optic on the DB12 costs fewer loadout points than intended, 15 instead of 25. I use that gun. Fixed an issue where the RPKM iron sights would shoot low when using the short barrel. Fixed an issue where the TR7 light barrel incorrectly improved muzzle velocity. Sounds like a nerf to the TR7. Fixed bipod mount input behavior for alternate, lefty alternate, southpaw, and legacy southpaw presets, so the bipod mount now follows the melee button. Improved attack speed for knife melee attacks. I like that. Improved buffering behavior for knife and sledgehammer attacks. I like that. Improved consistency of melee damage timing against enemies and the environment. Improved consistency of recoil modifiers when using a controller against different weapons. That's nice for controller players. Improved how sprint is interrupted when performing melee attacks. Sprint is now only interrupted until the attack reaches its target, rather than for the full duration of the animation. In the firing range, target dummies can now take damage while in the process of getting back up. That's good. I've noticed that sometimes where they're invincible when they come up, and I'm like, come on, my shots aren't registering. Shooting with a suppressor now emits a small muzzle flash when viewed from close range only. That's interesting. So this very last one, as a lot of you guys know that watch me regularly, I do play a lot of infantry. I always run suppressor. So I could see that being, that's a pretty decent nerf to suppressors for players that have really good map awareness. If you're around a corner going for a flank and people are running around the corner and you're in a good little spot where you're able to shoot them in the back when they go around the corner, anybody that's behind the guy you're shooting, they're going to see your flash from around the corner. They're going to know exactly where you're sitting at now that it's going to have a muzzle flash. So that's going to be something you have to keep in mind when you're engaging on targets at close range, that if there's anybody behind them, they're going to see the flash of your suppressor. You're going to have to keep that in the back of your mind. Gadgets. Fixed an issue where the GDPIS was not destroyed when targeted by the XFGM-6D recon drone, defibrillators, or the repair tool. I'd have to look at that. I'm not sure what the GDPIS is. Assault ladder. Fixed an issue where the ladder positioned above the player could not be entered. Fixed an issue where soldiers could be launched unexpectedly when attempted to... Wait, this has not... Oh, how long has this been out? How long has this issue been a thing? 3 months? That's kind of crazy. I don't play Assault, and obviously I spent a lot of my time in the helicopter, so I'm kind of surprised that that's just now getting fixed. Improved the soldier animations when climbing ladders, UI and HUD. Okay, here's a big one. Added a new option allowing players to customize the reticle color inside weapon and gadget scopes. Love that. Fixed an issue where home screen focused navigation could become locked to the bulletin. Fixed cases where weapon menus displayed incorrect reload time stats for LMGs. Soldier lighting improvements to the front end. Improved front end lighting to enhance the visual quality of soldier characters. Hopefully that's been a big topic in Battlefield, the visibility and trying to ID targets on the ground. So hopefully that'll help. The reticle color option now correctly updates reticle colors for thermal scopes and other supported gadgets. VFX and video, so adjusted explosion particle effects by lowering the shockwave force. And then it gets into a couple of RedSec updates for all of the RedSec guys out there. Fixed an issue where jump landing movement speed reduction behaved inconsistently in RedSec compared to other multiplayer. I've noticed this. So I've played only a handful of RedSec, maybe 30 to 40 games when it first came out with a couple friends of mine. And the game, it felt like a completely different game. And a lot of it was with the movement. I've noticed that when you're running around, sprinting, jumping, even the way the guns fire feels a little bit different in the game, but I've definitely noticed that. So hopefully that lines up a lot closer to multiplayer now. RedSec maps and modes fixed an edge case and gauntlet mode data extraction, where the drone could disappear permanently if drives were deposited at the exact moment it landed. UI and HUD Battle Royale fixed an issue where armor bar could disappear intermittently. Fixed an issue where the airburst incendiary launcher icon appeared as a grenade in the loot feed. And then Gauntlet fixed an issue where the armor bar could disappear after quickly editing a loadout. Yeah, so my overall thoughts on this, I'm happy to see that they finally are doing an update. I'm also the fact there's only 2 things under the vehicle section is extremely disappointing, being primarily these days a vehicle main, even though I do play a lot of infantry, so a lot of these other changes are nice to see. But the fact that it's just the jets that got touched when there are notorious other issues, in my opinion, in the game that need to be addressed. Air radar, for a fact, I cannot believe an air radar fix for jets and helicopters, or mini-map resizing for air vehicles is not an option that's been worked on yet. That's crazy to me. The other issue, main battle tanks having the guided shell. Again, that's one of those things. This is more of a personal opinion, personal gripe. That needs to be worked. That needs to be worked on. Not to mention, I could go into a whole plethora of things. But yeah, I just wanted to take the time to go over this update with you guys. I know it's 2 hours old. There's probably a lot of other creators that have already went over this with a lot of people. But I figured I would take a minute to cover this with you guys and just go over the new update that just came out for Battlefield 6 for January 20th. So 4 days, this will go live, and we'll see how that goes. Mostly looking forward to seeing how that jet damage performs. So, all right, you guys. Well, that is the update that's going to be coming out here in 4 days on January 20th. So at least we have something to look forward to. This is the first update I've seen them put out for quite a while now. So it's kind of refreshing to see that they have been working on some stuff. I know with the delay of season 2, that's put a lot of people into a damper. So hopefully this update helps out with a couple of things for people. I feel like it's a little lackluster, to be honest with you guys, but I think Battlefield 6 is in a really good spot in terms of the base game itself. I mean, the player counts at launch speak for themselves when it comes to that. The lack of maps, hit registration issues, netcode issues, vehicle imbalance, and just overall longevity of the game right now is not in a good state whatsoever. And so there's a lot of things that they need to be working on. And I was really hoping to see a couple more of those inside of this update on January 20th when Season 2 was supposed to release. So I guess we'll see what happens when we get to February. And hopefully that February update is going to provide us something a little bit better. So thank you guys for watching this video. This was kind of a last minute video that I was just throwing out there for you guys. So if you guys got any questions, leave them down in the comments. And if you guys enjoy my content, especially with the helicopter stuff, feel free to like, subscribe. It means a lot to me. I'm going to start doing more content on updates when they come out as well. So if you guys need anything from me, let me know. I stream live every single day, 9 p.m. Pacific time to 11 p.m. Pacific time, and then on my days off kind of throughout the day. So other than that, thank you guys for being here. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you in tonight's stream. Take care.